You too.
I like having that there. It means we have to go up and look at the little fund. Okay.
This is the June 19th, 2013 City Council Finance Subcommittee meeting. President, myself, Councilor Hagan, Councilor Cobb, and Councilor Rist. Make a motion. I assume I know Dan read them because he wrote them. Did you have a chance to check the minutes?
Yes, I did. I read both of them. They're fine with me.
Okay, do I hear a motion on the minutes?
You move, because I have it already here.
Yep. I'll move to approve the minutes of our meeting.
I'm really bad that way.
Are you seconding that, Councilor Rist?
That's right.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Mayor's communication.
Just a couple of items. We'd ask that if you would handle the request from Borrego for the pilot agreement in July, that would be helpful.
Okay.
I think it's on our agenda.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what your schedule is, but that would be helpful. The members of the Board of Assessors are starting to get anxious, and I think that the people at the solar group were starting to get a little anxious, and it's not that you've delayed it any longer. It took a while to get to you, and the other thing, and I'm only saying this because I'm not going to be at your meeting because of the prayer commitment. You have a request for a poll location that's coming to you this evening. That is a poll that is actually in the middle of the new school parking lot. So it will be helpful if you can act on that at your July meeting as well.
Is that one that has to be removed?
That'll probably be public safety though, I think.
More than likely, but since the council president is here at the meeting, I thought I would indicate.
Because I sit on that committee too, with Councilor McCoy.
Yes. So, you are very influential in those circles. And so, just to give you the quick brief, and I know that you'll have another meeting about it, but the pole that we want to install or relocate is actually in front of a neighbor's house, and it needs to be there in order to continue to feed the neighbor's house. When we take the pole out in the middle of the parking lot, there's no place for the wires to be, and so that's the necessary relocation.
Okay.
Can I ask, while the agenda for the pilot is on the table, I would like to make sure that when we schedule that, number one, that I can be there, and number two, that we get the assessor, Chief Mark Borrego,
Right.
and either the mayor or
Right, absolutely, Dan.
they have to be here. Or
In
we
fact,
can't discuss it.
I went in to see Mark yesterday, and they told me he was away a week's vacation or something. I'm not sure exactly when he's
Did
coming
we
back.
plan a date for that?
No, and in fact, maybe we want to talk that before we go to the rest of the agenda. My problem is,
I don't know if I can get my calendar.
next week I'm going to be gone,
No.
and then
Get Wi-Fi now.
4th of July I'm going to be gone for part of that week.
July 3rd is the city council meeting.
Right, would be
No, it's July 10th.
No.
It's July 10th.
right. The full council meeting is the 10th because it was moved from the 3rd.
Are this pilot probably has to have a public hearing.
I don't believe it's required. You certainly are welcome to do that.
So if it's not required for public, you're saying we should move it for an August approval?
No,
Is that what you're asking?
I would like you to consider it in July 10th.
So we'd have to get it in finance. What's our next finance meeting then?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, Dan. It would be that we could do it. I can't do it the 3rd because I'm going to be leaving the 3rd through I think it's the 8th, through Sunday. But I do have a couple days. I could do it Tuesday the 2nd. I don't know what your Tuesdays are like, Dan or Justin. Or I could do it Tuesday, July
I can do it
9th.
the 2nd, but I can do it the 9th.
9th or
No, wait, I can do it the 2nd. I can't.
can't do it the 9th. Okay,
Let's do it the 2nd then.
the 2nd. So
Unless you want to do it next week.
I can't do it next week.
I can't do it next week either.
Okay, so we'll set that now. So our next subcommittee meeting will be July 2nd, and we'll find out if we need a public hearing.
If any of those 4 people can't be there,
Then you want to.
then it's going to have to wait.
Okay, so I know Mark,
I think it's important enough that everybody have.
and you want the mayor. Right? Can you?
Well, Melissa or the mayor.
Or the mayor.
I want to know what
The
the impact is on our taxes.
and who else did you want?
The mayor, the board chairman of the board of assessors, a representative for Borrego, and a representative, and Mark. The 4 people. So,
I will talk to Mark, or I will drop Mark an email, or I guess the only one I wouldn't have contact info for would be Borrego.
yeah, but Mark does.
That's not sure.
Peter and Mark have access to them.
So we'll schedule it for July 2nd. Hopefully we get all the parties.
Yeah.
While we're on that, because we probably won't get to that till next, the supplemental appropriation for the repair that Joe has.
The one, which one?
For the wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah?
Right.
That's a request from
Oh, we need to put that on the,
Do you think we can do that? I mean, we probably won't have time, obviously, tonight, because
let's do it on the 9th and schedule this public hearing.
Do it on the 2nd, you mean?
Do it on the 2nd, yeah.
And I'll schedule a public hearing tonight for the 10th.
That would be really good. That way we can get this thing fixed over the
So you'll
summer.
need to schedule a public hearing tonight. then.
Yes, for that. Only because that one might require, and my only questions on that one would be, why maybe, is that coming out of stabilization?
That's the only thing we got.
Right.
So that time of year. And so we'll get it
Just
back.
put it back in. Yeah.
So,
I know how that
okay,
works.
so we're gonna do, I'll get a
The
public,
problem with that is, in the personal level, is I don't always put it back.
That's right, that's right.
so I'll set a public hearing for that for July 2nd on Tuesday. And,
10th.
no,
Tonight you're gonna-
on the 2nd, I'll set it, no, the 10th.
You'll discuss it on the 2nd.
On the 2nd, we'll have
We'll
a
set a
public
public
hearing for the
hearing on the
10th.
10th.
Tonight for the
Right, for the
10th.
10th. Okay. So,
And if we want to have a public hearing, although we don't have to advertise it,
we can
perhaps we should have a public hearing, because it's a big deal, the pilot, and
And
let
we're gonna have
people speak
to,
it.
and I would assume have to advertise for the supplemental appropriation
You
anyway.
will have to advertise.
And we're gonna have to have a public hearing anyway, so I
So
would,
we'll have a public, I would suggest
say
having a
both.
public hearing, she doesn't have to advertise it.
right, but have a public
Allowing
hearing.
people to speak to it directly rather than just in public.
No, I think so, as long as we're having a
Mr.
public
President?
hearing.
To be honest with you, yes, I do. Because if I would just schedule it as a public hearing, we don't have to advertise or anything else, just in case someone wants to speak to it.
Just direct, because it seems to have some controversy for it.
Let me make sure I put that one on my.
48, what is it, 48, 300.
Hearing. Okay, so hopefully we'll get both of those taken care of the 2nd, or if it goes on, if there's more discussion than we need, we'll have to move it, but we'll at least open it
Mr.
up.
McCoy about the poll location too.
Okay.
I think there might be something else going on, public safety, I thought in here too. That's for later.
Well, that needs a public hearing.
Yeah.
Well, location,
Well,
we
there's
should
a-
schedule that too.
I gotta talk to Joe.
We talked to Joe, because Joe would said that. yeah.
No, yeah, and so if I can offer you any, Joe knows how to reach me if he has any questions, just use what I believe he has my cell phone number. So if he needs to ask any questions or something tonight, he can reach me by cell.
Okay.
And I will be available, but you'll probably be done with your meeting by the time you're done with my graduation.
Are you speaking?
I've been invited, I think that they're going to have me come up on stage for something.
Okay. So,
Okay, so going back to new business. The interdepartmental transfer, the first one is $397.33 to fund a 1.5% wage increase for the motor repair personnel. Mr. Pipchinsky.
Well, all these are basically the same. They all got their increase. We didn't appropriate any money, but when we came to the end of the year, we saw what we had available and used what we had available in overtime, but there's still some funds that we had to add into it.
So these are all now,
So that-
they've all been, these contracts have all been settled.
Yeah, you recall, we did come to you and ask for an appropriation for, was it uniforms?
Yes.
The $60?
The one-time,
That one-time thing, and it was an oversight on all of our parts. We neglected to ask you to fund the balance of that agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a part of the settling of that contract, and we just didn't, and that's as much my concern as anyone else.
So going into 2014, these are all accounted for?
Yeah, I believe the 14 budget is correct.
this is just cleaning up the FY13.
Right.
This is not retroactive, this begins July, or is this retroactive to a date?
Well, it already began. They've been getting the wage that they were due since the beginning of the year.
Oh, since January, okay.
But we never, well, since, I think July.
Fully fund the
But
company.
we failed to come to you and amend that, the contract was approved after the budget was submitted and approved.
Okay.
We failed to come back to you and ask for the increase in the personnel line that was necessary to fund that 1.5% wage increase.
And that's the same with the 2423 too.
All of, yeah, and what's a little bit unusual about this request is that the money is sort of going, not clearly coming from the right places. So, we're paying for some of the water from sewer. I don't have the appropriation in front of me. It's all appropriate from the point of view of it's enterprise for enterprise, but there just isn't, we were scrounging through funds to try to find where to go, and so we're moving money from one department to another that don't necessarily look like they belong. We have a single enterprise here, so although I always show it to you separated, on the books, it's one account.
It's technically.
Right.
Any other questions on that, Councilor Cobb?
I have none.
I have none.
So we really can,
This is a general fund request.
we really can deal with A, B, and C. All three of them, I believe they're all the same because they're all coming from the same set of
Right.
circumstances.
The only reason why C is a little bit higher is we had a retirement. And we had to pay out one of the guys a little bit more money from what he was owed. So that's why it's a little bit higher. So even if we did the transfer in time, you'd probably be looking at this one anyway at some, because we didn't have enough money to do the retirement.
Anything additional on that, Councilor Cobb?
No.
Councilor Riss?
So I'll make the motion to recommend the city council approval the following departmental transfers: the $397.33 for motor repair personnel, the $2,423.35 for wastewater treatment plant personnel, and the $10,271 for water personnel services that we recommend approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve these three interdepartmental transfers, the $397.33, the $2,423.35, and the $10,274.71. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. What we got left? 1-6. We have one left.
We have Park and Rec. Before we go to that, we also have a request from the Finance Director to rescind for borrowing on the thing. That's
housekeeping.
That's just housekeeping. And it's,
So they were authorizations that you gave us that we ultimately didn't need for various reasons. I think Melissa provided you the details.
CPA, property, sewer construction, pond dredging.
And so because you voted them and they exist, they look like, I'll use the term liabilities.
I know.
That we, potentially could borrow that money. We have no need for it. The purposes for the borrowing have been served. And so this is really housekeeping to get these authorizations off the books.
Is there any?
I'll make a motion to recommend that we approve this
You guys are going too fast for me.
request. It's number
It's
3.
under 3, request for from Finance Director.
I'll wait for you to catch up. The one additional question I would have is concerns the need for any type of public hearing or anything. I don't believe so with this. This is just a...
No, it's just a research.
So, I believe I could probably make a motion this evening to, right? I would think to,
Yeah, it's
If
rescinding.
you do, that would help with the audit. Because if you make your motion now,
if we don't need a public hearing,
I don't think
can
we
make a
do.
motion.
I really don't.
Because we're only really taking those off.
you're essentially telling the finance, the treasurer, and the mayor, you can't borrow this money
any more
anymore.
money, right?
Because you don't need it anymore.
So this is basically cleaning up accounting, basically.
It's just cleanup.
For FY 213.
Well, if you do it now, the audit for 13 will reflect the fact that we don't have these outstanding borrows that we don't need.
Okay.
And so it would be great if you did it tonight, but it won't hurt if you take another
Motion to approve, Justin?
I don't know.
Okay.
If you wrote second for yourself, Dan, you could keep it if not.
All right, no, I didn't already write all this, but I'll say second.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm going slow for you.
I'm done, I'm ready.
We have a motion, a second, for the Finance Director's request to rescind for borrowing authorizations. Any further discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I said
Thanks,
aye.
Melissa.
I said aye.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Melissa, we did all yours. No, I don't know, did we?
This is just so you know, the chair is actually going to offer that you're sending in the borrowing request up tonight.
Okay, we don't need a hearing for that?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
I'll run it by Barbara too, because she always is a second thing, but if she doesn't see it, I don't see where it's not it's not like we're trying to appropriate money.
Mike said it would help you with your eyes, so
Right.
get it done.
It does look better, and it looks better when we go out to borrow too, that we don't have a whole lot of stuff hanging out there that's unnecessary.
The final item tonight, or at least that we have to take
The
up.
minutes will reflect numerical out of order, so you know.
Is the $1,611.73 to move funds within donation accounts from Park and Rec.
So, at the close of the 225th anniversary, the committee that we created for that had some funds left over, and they voted to provide those funds to the Park and Recreation Department for their purposes. And we've in fact spent a portion of those funds. The current auditor doesn't believe that we should do it that way, and she believes that that we have to do it this way.
Okay.
So the committee that created the funds, dedicated the funds for park and recreation purposes. We actually bought a six-wheeled vehicle, a Kubota vehicle, in the park department already with these funds. This is the balance of that fund. The Park and Rec Director has a purpose for it. We were attempting to spend these funds for the park purposes, and the auditor said that it's not appropriate, and so in order to be able to use the funds for the park department, we need to actually move the money to an account that says park department on it.
Instead of the-
So the committee is actually okay with what we're doing.
The committee is disbanded now, but they had voted the money to go
They
for
voted all
park
the original money.
improvements. All of it, and we spent the majority of it already, and this is a small tailings that we intend to spend for some pavilion work.
Sounds logical, I mean,
But it just, the practice of the old auditor and the practice of the new auditor are different. So,
it looks cleaner to me, so that's good.
yeah.
I'll move that we approve. Oh, sorry, you have something else?
No.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to recommend to the full council that $1,611.73 be transferred from anniversary donation to Park and Rec donation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the only other thing on the agenda is tonight, we already passed in subcommittee meeting the $4,000 for veterans benefits, which I
That's
think,
going on
that's on
public
public hearing also. And then the ones we just did for the donation and the 1.5% wage increases are all in public hearing tonight also. And we'll set the date hopefully for the subcommittee meeting to do Borrego and
Can you be there
supplement.
July 2nd?
It's a Tuesday, Melissa, instead of a Wednesday.
The reason is, we really want to talk about the impact on the tax rate and tax revenue.
For what?
Pilot.
Borrego.
Okay.
Is that too much to ask?
No.
I guess we have the comparisons, I guess I just look at them, might have questions.
Yeah, and I think that it's certainly appropriate to ask the assessor, the chairman of the Board of Assessors, to come. He and Mark were the primary negotiators in this.
Right, yeah.
And so they can, I think, can answer your questions clearly about what the expected revenue would be under taxation as opposed to what the expected revenue will be under a pilot agreement.
Assuming he's free, I don't think it's going to be a problem because he's tried to come a couple of times hoping they were on the agenda.
He was anxious to come tonight, but he was told by someone that you wouldn't be talking about it
Yes, because
tonight.
I did go in.
We told them July back.
Right, and I also, as I said, I had gone in to see Mark and they told me he was out of the office.
Yeah.
And I was just going to tell Mark because of I didn't think we could get into that discussion before our full council meeting, so.
And I only happened to run into Peter, so it
Right.
Well, we
wasn't.
could have, but that's hindsight.
Yeah.
It's only 5:20.
Well, but that might be a little more.
But I just want to know the consequences if we said no, and I want to know if there's precedence across the state for giving this kind of agreement.
Yeah, and I think they have the answers for all of that, and I don't want to give you their answers, they'll let them give you their answers. We've had lots of conversations about it.
Is that date something you can do, Melissa? July 2nd? Okay.
Okay.
So as long as we get Peter and
I could go for
Borrego, I'm
dinner.
sure Borrego will say something.
They better, or it won't happen. Or unless we put it off. I mean, I want to know what they say if we say no. What are you gonna do, move out of town?
No, they're not.
All right, we adjourned?
I believe that's it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. I will return after the graduation. so.
H-A-G-A-N.
AM.
I always say Ian.
How was your training?
Oh,
How was your trip back?
Can you shut the machine off?
And then I went upstairs, and then I